So here we are getting close to actually the last few episodes to this show, and honestly close to the end of this season. And honestly, as things are starting to get wrapped up a little bit, there is so much more to go in this anime. Now, we start things off here with our main character talking to Juhi, and she is essentially she says she's going to retire. I thought she was going to be like, hey, remember this, you want to go on a date? Let's go. And, kind of have a little date thing going on. But no, she just says, I'm going back to my parents. And which I feel sad about, because it was only a few episodes ago when they talked about her parents, and her parents were chastising her like, oh, you must be awful at being a hunter and everything. And she's actually just going to go back to her parents, which I'm like, come on, girl. And the least you could do is try to show your parents up like I could rise above it, but mental health is very important. So I'm definitely not trying to brush this under the rug like it's no big deal, she could just rise above it. It's important to keep your mental health. And with all the traumatic stuff that's happened to her, I can understand how she feels about it, but I mean, she's a very strong hunter being rank B, and it's nothing to scoff at, and a healer at that. So, maybe in the future she'll start feeling better, and maybe she'll be useful and actually be a good hunter in the future once again. I don't know, but we'll see how it goes. The meat and bones of this episode was essentially having the scouters from the White Tiger Guild trying to scout our main character, but of course, he didn't see it as a scouting thing that was happening. He saw this as a means of like, okay, how did you learn about me? Oh, okay, we kind of messed up a little bit by buying out so many dungeons. Okay, all right, thanks for the info. Now, do you want your life? How much do you value your life here? And honestly, I can kind of transition that into the differences. Now, there wasn't a lot of differences between the manhwa and actually the anime. It kind of held true for the most part. Maybe there was a few lines here and there that are a little bit different, but the main scenes, there wasn't really anything added in. There was a few things changed, but nothing of note. There was only two things I wanted to really notate about this. In this moment, you see where the guy that's scouting was talking to our main character, and then all of a sudden he's gone in the next frame. Now, in the actual manhwa, he actually used the stealth skill in front of the dude, and he saw him basically like evaporate away, and the dude's like, what? And then of course he gets slashed. Here, our main character is just on like the chair and just kind of like, by the way, what do you know about me? And then you see this frame where he kind of just turns around and he sees nothing. I really wish it actually showed the animation of him disappearing so he can see that. Maybe there would have been some conflicts of the other attendees like, hey, there's a guy that just disappeared. What happened there? Or it could be that they just want to kind of save a little bit on the budget, right? When you don't have to animate the guy disappearing and he's just a frame of him just gone. Whatever the case may be, I really wish they added that in, because it actually was pretty cool how he did that, just to show this guy like, yeah, I'm no one to trifle with. And of course, it did show when he reappeared in front of them and they went about their business. There is one other difference, but I will point it out just a little bit later because I need to transition into it. And the key is this guy that is the manager talking to the MC, he really jumped the gun. And I really want to stress out how much he has jumped the gun. Normally, you got to understand, he is the manager of scouts. Like, he has other people, their job is to scout talent, and we have established almost like episode 1 that a lot of guilds will put their people that are scouting at the buildings where people get evaluations of what rank they are. Now, this guy is the manager of all those scouts, so he should be the smartest and the best scouter of the whole guild. Like, it is his job to make sure he recruits people of high class or just over the people that do this. And then he went out to go scouting himself, which is like a big deal. Like, oh my God, the manager of all scouts for our guild is going out to scout himself. Well, he thinks that, oh, you know what, MC's just an E rank guy. he's just gonna jump at the chance of anything that I offer him. And then of course he realizes the deal that the MC was offered was a whole building, 30 billion. Now, this is one thing I do want to talk about. The show is still not distinguishing where it's from. Any amount of money that you've heard in this episode is talking about won, is not saying dollars. So when the building is offered to him for 30 billion, it's not saying $30 billion. It's actually talking about 30 billion won. Because, like I said before, this is a Korean manhwa. So the currency is the won. So in the conversion rates, if you put in 30 billion won, that actually equals out to about $22.5 million. So he is offered a building for $22.5 million, which is a lot still. Of course, not as much as 30 billion, but it's still a lot of money. In this negotiations, this guy didn't even research Jinwoo's deal was with the construction company, which he should have done that. He should have went in and was like, wait, why is this construction company trying to do this? He should have done his homework. Jinwoo has evidence. He has evidence of this deal. So that means if Jinwoo has the evidence, that means there is a deal in writing somewhere. Paperwork has to have a paper trail to follow. So thus, this was something he could have found out. He just was just too excited to try to get Jinwoo into the White Tigers. He didn't even research it. So he goes into this deal thinking he's got something like, oh, I'll give you, you join us, we'll give you whatever you want and double it. No, son, you want to give me a whole building? You're going to double that building? And then, of course, that took him back. And here it was. From then on, Jinwoo had the upper hand in any transaction and any deal that they were going to come out with. And it helps also that dude's been leveling his intelligence stat. You cannot tell me that day one Jinwoo would have been able to make a deal like this, while current Jinwoo is able to make a cool deal with no pressure, and even fleece the dude, fleece him. Like, oh yes, you must, yeah, we have dungeons. I've actually been hearing people actually not understanding like the whole deal and how it works. So for those that might have been confused, Jinwoo's team has been purchasing the C-rank dungeons to the point that there weren't really any dungeons for the main guilds to actually send their people to. So this deal, of course, comes to Jinwoo and he's like, wait a minute. Yeah, you know what? I'll sell you 3 of the dungeons. In the eyes of the recruiter, he's thinking, oh man, I'm not gonna have any dungeons for my guys or my people or my guild to go to. So if there's no dungeons to go to, and this guy's offering me 3, hey, that's at least something I can actually do here. Because Jinwoo has said, we're gonna keep buying them up. We're gonna keep buying them up. I mean, giving you 3 is just, it's a nice deal, right? So that's why he spent an absorbent amount of money to get those 3 dungeons, when come to find out the next day, he didn't have to, because Jinwoo knew they weren't going to go to any dungeons. They weren't going to do anything. So he scammed the dude, got the money, and thus the reason why Jinwoo's like, yeah, this offer is for today only, so pay up by the end of the day or else this deal is over. And he did, got 200. Now, of course, this is won. So that only equals out to $150,000. Now, of course, times 3. And regardless, that's still a good amount of money in their pockets compared to the fact that they had to spend a lot less if they just had waited the next day. But of course, the deal's a deal. You gotta take care of it. So this guy actually spent $500,000 just to get this guy's phone number, just to get Jinwoo's phone number. Because he's like, well, at least we got his contact information. So that's the most important, that he's like, I'm going to hold on to this for the future. Now, this comes to the second difference. And one of the things I was thinking of, if you check out my reaction on Patreon, it is over on the page. I was straight up saying, wait a minute. This guy, it might be the manager of recruiters and scouts, but he has a boss. He has to do an annual report. He has a budget to go over. This guy spent this amount of money to get 3 dungeons. At some point, someone's gonna notice, like, excuse me, why'd you spend this amount of money on the dungeons? Now, of course, I'm like, this is a business. He has someone to answer to. That's gonna be a big issue, which actually was one thing that was brought up in the actual manhwa. There was a line that he's like, yeah, even though I spent that amount of money on the dungeons, it's not a lot for our guild, it's not a big deal, but yeah, the leader of the guild might have some questions for me. Now it kind of makes sense. I wish they did add that line in, because Lord knows, I'm like, hold on. He can't just spend that much money, you know, and then just have no one's just going to sit there. No one's going to question him about it. But, you know, it would have been nice if they actually add a little comedic line there that, oh, okay, all right, this is why. So now, as the next few episodes, like I said, soon going to be wrapped up. Here we have Jinwoo going to head to this job change quest, which I was like, wait, what is his job title? In the manhwa, it shows the job title is none. I was like, oh, unemployed? I mean, what is it, hunter? Yeah, he has no actual title as far as job is concerned. But he's about to do a quest that has a job change. No spoilers or anything, definitely do not include them in the comments, but I will tell you, and for those that have been waiting for the shoe to drop, it will fall like a rainstorm soon enough. So I'll just leave it at that. That is definitely no spoilers, and please, no spoilers in the comments. But regardless of that fact, I hope you guys have enjoyed this analysis because there was a lot to go over here as far as the deals, the amounts, and kind of some clarification here and there. But we'll definitely have a lot and some good things in store in these last few episodes as they come out in the next weeks. Definitely make sure you guys like the video. Make sure you guys are subscribed for more because we'll definitely go over all the content from this anime and several others. Definitely let me know what you want me to cover in the next season. I am looking and researching for the next few ones that will be coming out soon. Be safe, take care, and Lord willing, I will see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Make sure to check out the extra content on our Patreon page, and thanks to our current patrons.
This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.